everybody, and wishing you all a very happy new year, and welcome to video number 42 in my EFT series. Before I start, I would ask you to take responsibility for your own well-being if you decide to take along, and also to wash your hands if you are using, the face points. If you can't wash your hands, skip those, just step on the hands and top of the head. Okay, so the end of the year is a time for all of us to reflect on how the year has gone, and I'm just thinking about what have I achieved this year, and what were my New Year's resolutions or intentions, whatever you like to call it, this time last year, and how well have I achieved those. So my major New Year's resolution this time last year was to clear my junk, and I was stepping on that. And so to sum up, I've achieved about 20% of my target. And it is a bit of a chore, it is a bit difficult, and here I am thinking, perhaps if I rethink my goal, perhaps I won't think that I can do it all in just 1 year. Perhaps 3 years might be a better target for me to do, because I also want to decorate most of the house and do other things. So it might perhaps be 3 years, might be a more realistic kind of target. So every time you are setting your intention, ask yourself, is my goal realistic? And if it wasn't a realistic goal, then you can always come back and rethink it, and you can tune in and to see, what was I sabotaging? So in my case, this is what I would step on. I would tap, even though I've only achieved 20% of my target for for clearing, I do love and accept myself anyway. So if you are in a similar situation like mine, and you managed to have done a little bit of your target, but however you're not quite happy, then you can tap, of course put your own words, but this is what you could tap on. So even though I've only achieved 20% of my clearing of junk target, I love and accept myself anyway. Even though it was such a chore clearing my junk, and I was putting it off, I didn't want to deal with it, I do love and accept myself anyway. Even though I only managed to do about 20% of my junk clearing, it was such a dreary job. I felt so tired doing it. I still love and accept myself anyway. Okay, so the reminder phrase now will be whatever fraction of the whole you manage to do. So I'll just step on 20%. 20% of the decluttering target. I've only achieved 20%. I only done these 20%. It was just so tiring to do. I just could not face it. It was just too much. It was such a slow process. When I looked at all the junk, it did not want me to go on and doing more. It was so off-putting seeing all this mountain of junk. And it was a slow process. And that is why I was putting it off for many, many years. It was such a chore. Okay, so take a deep breath now, and how does that make you feel now? And actually, it doesn't make me feel so bad now, because you know, I started to give myself credit for the 20% I've done actually. Oh, you know, I've done, you know, that's actually quite good. And if I look at it this way, that, you know, perhaps in 3 years' time, the whole thing will be done. Maybe it won't be done in a year's time, but there you are. So, you know, why don't you give yourself some credit? And, you know, you can tap on actually, you know, actually I'm happy that I've done 20%. You know, it was actually a lot of work. It was weeks and weeks and weeks of actually doing it full time. And I was reading through my diaries, what it was then. And I've realized I've come a long way. Yeah, I mean, it's a great achievement. Might not look like much, but it was a good start. Let's say 2020 was a good start. And it was such a difficult year anyway. So it was a good start. Good start to my resolution. Yeah, 20% was good. I've made a good start. I'm happy I've made such a progress. What a good thing. Actually, I even enjoyed going through all of the files and pages and pages. It was like clearing my history a bit, letting go. All this letting go. Okay, so take a deep breath and see how things are for you now. And you know, when we are kind of, I mean, as I did my video this time last year for New Year's resolutions, I did urge everybody to connect, to kind of take a pause and connect. And I think this year was a really good year to kind of do that. I never liked the arrival of the new year. For me as a child, I always wished Christmas would stay with us forever. And the reason I did was because I felt people were so kind to each other, people had time for each other, there was no rushing about, people stopped and paused and were kind to each other. And I kind of wished, oh, I wish this could be forever. And in a way, you know, like when I look at the positives of this year, which was such a difficult year for all of us, you know, something did come out of it, and it was that, you know, families stayed together, and, you know, the parents were spending more time with their children. And, you know, I always like to look at things from, you know, from the positives and appreciate that and be grateful for that. So if, as I said, if you, you know, if you did not, if you felt that you've only achieved a small, you know, bit of what the resolution was, or abandoned it, then you can tap on it and see how you can also transform it, and, you know, see that actually even the little bit you've done is actually a great achievement and a good start, like I did mention it. But you know, another one of my kind of intentional New Year's resolutions was to write EFT stories for children. And already a couple of years ago I set my intention for that, and I also did go on a vision board workshop where I was working to kind of help me to achieve this goal. And when I've done the vision board, and I will show that to you, when I've done the vision board, I've kind of realized that that wasn't really about the EFT tapping stories. I mean, the part and parcel of the problem was that the resources at that workshop just were only aimed like at adults, and there were no kind of children's resources. And So I had this vision board, and often it would fall behind the cupboard, you know, and I didn't notice it for a long time, and then I picked it up again and I started adding a few things. So if you are working with a vision workshop, if you are working with a vision board like I do, and that's actually a very good way, you can tap on it as you're doing it, and you can look at it and tap, helping you to achieve that, and you can add more things to it, how, you know, as you're evolving it. But actually what happened for me was that a few days ago I realized, well, you know, I've had this vision board for almost 2 years, but actually it's not helping me much. And so I sat down to work on a new vision board and have come up with something like that, which is much more closer to what I want to achieve. And so I've done the tapping teddy, and he's got the tapping points, and there are other like tapping rabbit, and you know, because it's a story about a little boy called Freddy, and Freddy is here, and he's a little bit of a bit of a clown, and really he makes to cheer up all the others, but he kind of says, oh, I love to, you know, I love to cheer up others, but deep inside I hurt. And you know, he lost his dad. He remembers how he used to go fishing with his dad, and his father had cancer, and so, you know, like the first Christmas with our dad is very sad, and he feels always very lonely. And he will later get a little dog who will actually cheer him up quite a lot. And then he's got issues with his clothes, because he says, oh, you know, I always wear these old clothes. You know, all the children in the school, they've got brand new, you know, designer clothes, but I always, you know, my mum always has to sew up things for me. And so he's quite upset that he's, you know, always wearing old, worn out clothes. And so that's a little bit like that. And then that little bit here was about the hospitals. He doesn't like hospitals, and it's of course a reminder for him, you know, that you know, in the hospital, that's where he saw his dad in the last days of his life. And you know, of course, the virus which came this year, it makes him kind of quite scared. He's worried, well, you know, I've lost my dad, now what if my mum is ill, and you know, I would be again completely on my own. So and he also likes gardening, so that's, you know, so also he will, at some stage he will be moving house, and he will find that quite a difficult process. So, you know, what I've done is that I've done the kind of point where the tapping teddy is here, and there is Freddy, and then kind of a few chapters. Also, he would like to be good at cricket. He would really like to be a good cricketer. So yeah, so that's, you know, something. And then again, you can as you're doing this, you know, as you do this, if you do a vision board, and it doesn't have to be a vision board, it can just be, you know, you can just draw it, whatever it is that your goal is, and just come close to this goal, and you know, just feel, is that the right thing, or is that really the right path for me? And you know, just feel out what is going on, and take notice of what is happening around. I got, for example, this year 2 diaries as a Christmas present. So 2 diaries for 2021. And I very rarely in my life got a diary as a present. Actually, I've got loads of diaries from my husband, which I kind of collected during the decluttering. And I use it to make notes and to kind of do a bit of journaling, or to prepare some lessons, you know, some lesson plans I've got, or, you know, I just keep making use of that. But what I'm kind of trying to say here is that, you know, I never ever got a diary, and this year I got 2 diaries at the same time, which kind of makes me think, oh yeah, this is a good reminder that actually it's good to write things down, to write down how you feel, what you want to achieve. It's an amazing way of kind of expressing, you know, how you are. But as I said, take notes. You know, another thing for me is I you know, this year has been difficult for all of us, and my sister has actually sent me a present, but it still hasn't arrived in the post. So I mean, I do miss my family because I couldn't go to visit them at all this year, which of course, you know, I mean, I come from Prague, from the Czech Republic. And, you know, again, during one of my decluttering sessions, I did found this lovely book about doing angels mandalas to, you know, for you to be filling in. And it was a present from my sister many years ago. More than a decade ago, she gave me this present. And I put it away. And then I thought, oh, that's actually very nice. And so I started coloring it in. And I felt it was something very mindful, you know. And I also noticed that I'm very drawn to color green and color red. And then I was preparing for today's video, and I was thinking, well, what shall I wear today? And I said to myself, well, I'm not going to wear this Christmas jumper because Christmas is gone now, so let me wear something else. But I have realized that actually the color red and green, and also, funnily enough, I've done the Happy New Year in red and green. And I've just realized that was what kept me going. And at Christmas, I was wearing this jumper, and the color red and green have basically become my favorite colors. And I actually would not have worn this for today. Something happened for me is that I forgot to charge my iPad. So a couple of hours ago, I went with the intention of making this video, and I noticed, oh no, my iPad is not, you know, charged. So I was mindful enough to prepare, you know, everything else, but I forgot about this iPad. So I put it on charge, and I said to myself, well, you know, silly me, it doesn't show I'm very mindful, really. But then I was thinking, well, actually, there is a reason for everything. And I started to think about those colors and thinking, oh, actually, that jumper was quite good. I like it. I like those colors. And some people made a comment on my Christmas video thinking, oh, you're a bit sad. And so I thought, well, let me go with the colors, which will, you know, liven me up a bit. And that is something, you know, like, you know, people, sometimes good to listen what others say, because often we don't want to acknowledge or admit, you know, that we actually could feel a bit sad. And, you know, my husband died 5 years ago, and during this time, 5 years ago, he was in intensive care till the end of January. And this year has been particularly kind of difficult for me because he did, you know, at the end, he did have cancer, but he did not die of the cancer. He died of pneumonia. So the images of him in the last few months of his life that I've got from the hospital is him to be on a respirator. And, you know, he had to be put to sleep for several weeks as well to help him, you know, to get better. Sadly, he never got better. But, you know, this year has been difficult for all of us. So if this year has been, you know, challenging for you, then it's actually good to acknowledge that. It's, you know, like in my family, everyone was pushing things out of the way. No, we are not, you know, we are happy, you know, there's nothing wrong with us, you know. But actually it is much better to kind of acknowledge, yes, I'm suffering, and, you know, this year has been difficult. And so, yeah, so do acknowledge this has been, even though this has been a very difficult year, I felt so much sadness. I love and accept myself anyway. Even though this was such a difficult year, so much sadness, so much loss, so much death, I do love and accept myself anyway. even though this was such a difficult year, and there was so much sadness, and there were times I found it really difficult to cope, I love and accept myself anyway. Okay, so all this sadness, what color would you associate with the sadness? Because you can tap on that color. So for me, I see this very dark gray. All this gray. All this gray. All this gray. And if you are happy, you know, if you clear that feeling, you can put the colors which are good for you. So for me, it was red and green. So just tap on the colors which are happy for you. All this red and green, red and green. My Christmas jumper, my happy Christmas jumper. All this red and green. Okay, so, you know, take a deep breath and, you know, see what does come up for you. And, you know, you can tap on what came up for you this year. And, you know, if you found difficulties around judgments, like, for example, in Brighton we've got the beach and people like to go there, and there were loads of criticism that too many people have been coming to the beach and we are all in lockdown, so we should not really be going to the beach. But then that was quite, you know, going to the beach is a thing we can do and socially distance at the same time. It's actually a responsible thing to do, even though it does look like if everyone floods there, it looks like people are crammed together. But actually, you know, I mean, you know, I love going to the beach, and actually yesterday I've been there and there's so many people swimming. It looks like it's something which took off with lockdown. People love going to the beach, swimming, despite the fact it's freezing cold. And then people think I am mad when I swim in October. I don't go past October, but it's still nice to, you know, to go to the beach and to tune in, listen to the, you know, to the waves. And, you know, I like to do tapping at the beach, you know, and I tap for healing and love, whatever it is, you know, you want to attract more into your life. Tap on that. And, you know, I just would like to wish you a very happy new year with lots of hope, and, you know, I hope that you achieve your goals. As I said, don't be hard on yourself. Do bear in mind we all went through a difficult year. Send love to yourself. And that is something I will share from my garden. This plant normally doesn't flower till June, and I get excited when I see it flowering in March. But actually this time, for the first time, it came out in December. And when I was kind of looking at it, thinking, well, you know, this is the new hope for the new year. So I would like to wish you all a very happy new year, and I look forward to seeing you during videos I will do in the future in the 2021. All the best. Take care.